All right. Get on the program, Blankowski. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Planning Board meeting for February 3rd, 2026. First order is a roll call of board members.
Jeff McDonald.
Linda Little.
Carl Plankowski, Chair.
Mo Klein.
And for tonight's agenda, we have the following items: town board member reports, approval of the January 20 meeting minutes. I think we all, did we finally get rid of the December one? Yeah, well, last time we got rid of it. All right, we're good to go. A privilege of the floor for new business. We have the following: Pritz 2-lot minor subdivision sketch plat review and board member and staff reports. Any discussion or amendments?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Liz, you have anything particular for us?
No, but I'm gonna be your new liaison for the year. So I'm gonna try to come to as many meetings as I can. Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every month, I'm also on the youth commission, so I'm gonna have to tag team.
Either that or we're gonna have to clone you.
Yeah, but I'll try to come maybe to the second one here or something. We can work it out. But if there's questions or things you guys need from the town board or anything, just let me know.
Any tentative timeline for new board members and that sort of stuff, since we're at 4?
Yeah, I think, okay, I was gonna say, I know it's in the works, I just don't have the time.
Yeah, it's January is an incredibly hectic month, so I appreciate your patience. I didn't know until right before the organizational meeting that one of your board members was choosing not to stay on, at least as an alternate. So I didn't have enough notice before the organizational meeting to fill it immediately. And in January, the clerk collects all the taxes, and she's our communication manager. And my deputy has been sucked up into audit season, and we just bought an electric vehicle, which actually took a lot of time to do on a real rush job. So the long and the short of it is, she's working on a public outreach. We have several positions in the town, including on the planning board, that we're hoping to fill. So we're basically doing like a mini job fair. And then we're hoping that people put in their applications and that we can conduct interviews and hopefully, into February, people have applications and so we can do some interviews on a wide variety of positions, including town historian. We need a county youth representative. And I'm sure there's something else off the top of my head that I can't remember, but I have a whole list. And so we'd like to do it collectively. So there'll be posters around town. We'll be going out in the newsletter. So you're not alone in needing some new blood. So we have not forgotten you. We have just been doing a lot of dog pedaling rapidly this month to catch up, or January. So Teresa's, she's working on that. She has all the information. She'll be putting that together.
So have people applied or have you not announced yet? I haven't.
So we have at least one application that came in already. But so the town has, when we go through our organizational meeting, we review all our policies, and embedded in our diversity, equity, inclusion policy is actually a commitment to doing outreach that to try so that when we have boards and groups, we have a diverse range of perspectives on them. And so giving people a little bit more time to have a little bit more public education. So hopefully we have, one person isn't going to fill all the spots needed, right? Yeah. So we'd like to be able to have a group so that you could typically the chair, the liaison, potentially somebody else would be there to do some interview process and make some decisions. These groups, your board of zoning appeals, we really like to have a diversity of perspectives, not just of where you live, but what type of, I think this is a wonderful representation of diverse professional experience, but also lived experience in land use in the community. That's wonderful. And so we'd like to augment that, right? At least that's my perspective on it. And so we're hoping to get several people, because I know I interviewed once back in the day for a position that didn't work out because I couldn't make the meetings at that specific time. And that's how I ended up on the planning board. So, we have those conversations, and some people are like, oh, I'd really like to do this, or I'd like to do that. And you're like, oh, well, actually, you might be better off on this role instead of that role, for whatever it is. So you're not alone. We have not forgotten you. And we will try and get a robust bench so that you guys have some more support. So thank you for being here tonight.
on a cold, dreary
On a
day.
very cold, dreary night.
Yes.
The only other thing I'll just put a plug in for, and I'll switch hats to my comp plan steering committee hat, is the new plan, the new latest draft plan is out, so we'd love feedback from you guys and the public on that draft plan. We're hoping to get comments through February and then kind of focus in March to get this wrapped up and look to see when we can do the recommendation to the town board.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Niels make sure they have access to it.
Everybody should have
Easily.
access to it on the
It's on our
Ulysses United website as well as the town website. We went back through and made sure.
We just
Anyway,
discussed that.
Yeah, all of us have
None
had
of us are
issues
this
over time
confident.
just trying to
I'm on
access
it right
it.
now.
All
I
right.
can do even a demonstration. It's open right now for me.
So,
You know what was hard
Anyway.
is figuring out which one you were supposed to look at.
I know, because,
Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah.
didn't say which date half the
Actually,
time.
this one has a date on it too.
yep.
It does?
So,
Oh,
yeah.
goodness.
It has 2/2/26,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
February
okay.
2nd. It's a Groundhog's Day deal.
Okay.
But anyway, that's the one you're looking for. But if you have any questions, get a hold of me and we'll make sure you have access. Because before the meeting, we were talking, I think, our next meeting in 2 weeks, we're just gonna deliberately set some time aside on the planning board meeting to talk over whatever parts the members want to get into.
Okay, that's great.
Just, we're together, it's an opportunity to do some of that.
Sounds good.
Oh, I had a
Okay.
question. Did we think of telling Matt to stay home? Like for a couple of meetings so we can hash out
No,
some
we
of
need
the
him in
stuff?
the room.
Excuse me?
We need him in the room.
Oh, okay, because there were some items that, you know,
Yeah.
he's just sitting there.
Yeah, no, I think it's important for him to be in the room,
Okay,
just online,
Okay.
just to ensure that when they're making changes, it's not a he said, she said type thing.
well, we didn't do a lot of changes
We
last
didn't
time.
do last meeting, we were listening to a lot.
Yeah,
All right. Have you all had a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting?
yep,
Mhm.
All right. Motion to approve those?
no, go
I
ahead.
make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second. All in favor?
I,
All right. Next is privilege of the floor, the portion of the board meeting where members of the public may make general comments on items that are not related to items on tonight's agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes in length. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board? Your turn will come up real quick here. And all I see is Neil's online. Case, a motion to close the floor.
Yep,
second.
All right, all in
Double
favor?
second.
Aye.
All right. For new business, we have discussion of the Pritz 2-lot minor subdivision sketch plat review. Applicant, Town of Ulysses, on behalf of the owners Marvin and Allison Pritz, applied for a minor subdivision for the subject site located at 5230 Cold Springs Road to subdivide the existing 16.5 acre lot into 2 lots. Parcel A, approximately 1.37 acres, and parcel B, approximately 15.21 acres. Proposed parcel B would be a flag lot with a proposed width of 38 feet for the pole portion of the lot, where 50 feet is required. As part of the proposal, the applicant submitted an area variance to the BZA to reduce the width of the pole. BZA met on January 21st to consider the variance request and passed resolution 2026-001 to comply with state law, requesting the planning board provide a written recommendation on the area variance. Let's see. Invite Liz or Caitlin to discuss the proposal and deliberate as needed. Board should discuss the area variance and deliberate on the draft resolution. The BZA holds a hearing and issues the decision on February 18th. That would give enough time to schedule a public hearing for the final plat on March 3rd, which we should also discuss. Any feedback from either one of you?
Caitlin's serving as the applicant.
I just have one question
Yeah.
before you start.
Sure.
On the restrictions and that they put on here, there's a mistake. it says, number 5, it says grantee shall plant and maintain trees. And it has a number 536.27 feet, and there is no 526.77 feet anywhere on the map. It's 444 feet maybe, but not 536. That has to be corrected.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
He's talking about the face behind the 2 houses to the west.
Oh.
Yeah.
okay.
I think that's the face you're talking about, and then the other
It's-
part would be the 300 and some feet down along either side of the pole.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
include trees.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
well, no, that should be in separate. It shouldn't be 530, it should be 444 and whatever else.
Yeah,
So that has to be corrected.
Mhm.
Because right now, it doesn't really mean anything. It just means 536 feet of,
trees, yeah.
but where, you know, that doesn't say which areas. It should be specified. So that's my only.
Caitlin?
Sure, thank you. Okay, well, thank you for your time tonight. Before I get going, I just wanted to say that I appreciate that this project has been before you before. In a different iteration, we were considering environmental considerations, and the town undertook a lot of time to hear from the public, to come both before you and before the BZA to try and plan as much mitigation as we could out of the gate, because we want this property to ultimately be an asset to the neighborhood, not a detriment. And so there was a lot of listening. There was a lot of listening involved and trying to craft reasonable solutions. And so I'll get into the tree component. So a couple weeks ago, I was in front of the BZA, and we're asking for the 38-foot variance required from the 50-foot flag lot width. When the town board was considering doing this in the first place, that was an important consideration of ours that we wanted to understand. Now, I'm not using this memo in any way, shape to be persuasive because I understand what your purview is tonight. But I just wanted to provide this information to you. I had the town attorney put together a memo to help us understand flag lots, and I thought you might find this useful just in your future going forward. What it finds is in looking at state law, there are no mandated widths for the flagpole of a flag lot, and if you look at municipalities in our region, Ulysses just happens to be at the very high end of a required minimum width. Dryden, which is probably very similar in many ways to us, only has a width of 25 feet. So while that is not the purpose of your consideration per se, I just wanted to share this information that we collected because it certainly was considered by the town board as part of the process on whether or not this would be a reasonable activity. So in addition to asking, of course, for the 38-foot variance, we are coming to you to start the process on a minor subdivision. The Pritz donation, the Pritz property for the public, which you I'm sure already understand, the Pritz own 2 properties on Cold Springs. And in order to create a subdivided flag lot parcel, it requires pieces of both for it to happen. And when we went through the survey process, the desire was to make sure that both of their original parent parcels, were zoning compliant. So the rental house maintains an appropriate width to be zoning compliant. So we're only asking for one variance. The mother parcel for the bulk of the flag itself, that parcel is also zoning compliant. So I just wanted to highlight that. Throughout 2025, we collected substantial public engagement. This is a binder. If you haven't had a chance to see it, this reflects all the public engagement up until 2 weeks ago, and then the BZA had a public hearing. There were about 13 comments. They are not in here, but if you need electronic copies, Lori can distribute them to you. Some of them were directed both to you and to the Board of Zoning Appeals. There were 13 comments. One was negative. The rest were positive in support of issuing a variance. Collectively, prior to 2 weeks ago, I would say approximately 80% of public comments in either in person or in written comments have been in favor of the town accepting the donation, and we did accept the donation pending all of this process in August. So mitigation, it doesn't mean though that we weren't very cognizant of concerns by neighbors in particular, that but not all neighbors, that this would have implications for their property, and how could we design built-in mitigations to ensure that, like I said, that we were taking into their concerns as fully as possible. Liz and I sat down with the immediate adjacent neighbors to discuss their concerns. We made that offer available to everybody else. I had people emailing me recommendations of different things. And so what is actually built into the donation agreement that the town is bound to follow, we have use restrictions, right? For 75 years, these restrictions will remain in effect. I know I won't be here unless technology changes tremendously in 75 years. So there are use restrictions. This cannot be used for anything other than public recreation. There will be no housing developments. There will be no vehicle storage or salt storage or any of the many things towns do with property. Lighting, the donation limits us to have no external illumination for playing fields and things like that beyond what is necessary from a safety standpoint, right? It may make sense to have some minor lighting that is for safety purposes, but it's not. There will be no stadium lighting for
It would
fields.
be down,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Halfway
Just-
lighting.
Yeah, like 3 foot walkway type lights, yeah.
There's noise limitations put into it. We don't want this, there's no intention of this being a public facility that's operating at 10 o'clock with a party going in anybody's backyard. Brits don't want that either. And then to your point about the trees, there's screening and access limitations. So we're already committed to running a fence along the width of the future driveway, so that it screens the property owners who are not the Pritzes from that driveway. We're committed to, we've already committed to not having any parking along that driveway, so that that's not going to be a parking corridor, which would obviously cause limitations and issues. And then we have also committed to screening the adjacent properties, primarily those that with vegetation, primarily those that are their frontage is on Cold Springs Road, with the idea being that the other sides of the property are actually screened already. The property owners, carpenters who are on the south side of the property, they're in favor, and their comments are in the record in favor of the donation. And then the Fritz own 2 different parts on the side. They are obviously in favor of the donation, but we understand that that the vegetation and it designed in such a way that it's year-round vegetation. We're not talking just deciduous trees that are going to lose all their leaves. The tree committee is already contemplating the many different types of, and I'm not a tree expert, so I will be deferring to them, but the many different kinds of trees and vegetation that could be installed in such a way that there's height variations, and it's, we're not waiting 25 years to have screening. It can be designed in such a way that year-round the residents have vegetative screening from the park, and the park frankly has visual screening from the residences. I mean, I think it's a situation that would work well both ways. Those are the things on the site that, while we're not going through site plan review because we do not have a site plan developed that the town board has accepted, we have gone through a public engagement process with over 500 people responding to our survey about what they would like to see in a future park, and balancing all of that. We did that with Cornell Design Connect back in the fall. They put together a proposal, but it's really a concept plan. It's not adopted. We don't have any money to do it. It's really was a really great experience though, because of how many people participated. So we got really robust community engagement and feedback about what they'd like to see, but we do not have a site plan because we are not at that gate. We will need to go through fundraising, grant writing, all of that to make to go through an actual development plan. But at least we have an idea, and having the potential plan, if it gets adopted just as a concept, will allow the town to be able to proceed that way. So when we reviewed the 38 feet and I know you'll be providing feedback to the BZA one way or another on that. One of our main concerns was making sure that this was that it was safe. The 38 feet was reasonable for safety purposes. And we are firmly in belief that it is. Town roads are 20 feet wide, and town roads provide access to emergency vehicles and to vehicular access. 38 feet will give us additional space we anticipate to allow pedestrian access and the screening necessary to make it a pathway in the future that is exclusively on town property, but does still provide the screening necessary for the adjacent property owner who has concerns. And so we also went through a fairly extensive review process at a time when Laserfish was not allowing searching. So if you ever want to spend very interesting couple of hours reading through BZA minutes, you can. Our previous clerks liked to include everything, so there was a lot of drama in some of those periods of time, which was quite amusing. But what we found is since the flag lot subdivision, or not subdivision, but the flag lot design standards were created, it looks like only one property has ever requested a variance, and it was granted. It was a residential property, so I'm not saying that they're apples to oranges, but they did get a 32, a roughly 32.83 foot width approved. So there is some precedent, at least with the BZA. The BZA will of course say, as they did, that they consider every case independently, but it's sometimes useful to know if anything else has happened. So that's what we're coming to you today for, at least to start the process, get BZA feedback to them. They're looking at a variety of considerations. They'd like to see paving as a condition of the driveway to keep dust down. They're putting out there, they'd like permeable pavement. I talked to a highway superintendent. The costs are considerably different, and the functional use of the material is different too. So if you have comments or thoughts on that, I'd be appreciative if you would share that with them.
Did they put drainage?
We would definitely put drainage in. We wouldn't
you'd
do
have
any,
to.
yes, I mean, we would never, we absolutely do not want to put water onto somebody else's property.
Right, yeah.
Right, so anything would have to be done, would have to be designed with drainage.
I do have another question about the fencing. The section, or the area that faces the road.
Mhm.
Are you gonna put a fence all the way across 444 feet?
There's nothing put in there right now about doing fencing that way.
Okay,
The donation was, I will say that what I would think we should do is definitely put fencing along the northernmost end, because there's a creek not too far past that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
from a liability standpoint, a
Yeah.
low level fence that like stops that 3-year-old from continuing on rapidly.
yeah.
Well, but we don't have anything in the donation agreement that requires a fence. There is a stipulation that if we ever put in a fence
Yeah.
that loops it, that we
Yeah.
would have to provide access to the Pritz.
The only reason I ask is because you don't want people taking shortcuts between the houses to get to the field. That's why the fence. And you know that's gonna happen, one way or the other. Somebody's gonna figure out, oh, well, we can go around this house, nobody's gonna know.
I think,
Oh, no.
well, I think part of it, so I think one of the considerations is, and we haven't codified that, but there's not really town roads, you'll hear at the comp plan, don't have a lot of shoulders, and Cold Springs is a town road. And so I anticipate, I would be supportive. I had one of the neighbors did request that they would like to see no parking along Cold Springs.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a very reasonable request, given
Oh,
the shoulders of the
definitely, yeah.
road.
Yeah.
And so I would anticipate that the town will implement that, which
Mhm.
means the likelihood of people cutting corners to get to the field really goes down
Okay.
when you have I would like to see and this, the BZA flagged this, a pedestrian walkway along that driveway.
Yeah.
And if you're not having people park on the road, it's probably just not as realistic that people will be cutting through.
The only other concern would be like motorcycles and four-wheelers. You know, because that area is all open in the back, especially the creek, and on the side where it's another field, people might decide to come through that way.
I'd be hard pressed, so to believe
Well,
that.
it's liability for the town, because
Sure.
if they get hurt on that property, you're responsible.
Yeah, I mean, they would be, I mean, in those cases, they'd be crossing, private property.
Right,
There would-
exactly. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
You know, it's not saying that it could never, and I'm not saying it could never happen, but I think that's the screening is meant to help dissuade encouraging that, right?
Okay,
The creek also would limit access
Yeah.
as well.
I brought
No,
up that
it's a-
concern because it is a
absolutely.
liability for the
Of
town.
course, absolutely.
A lot of this stuff is gonna vary over time too.
Oh, I know.
As the park gets
Yeah.
developed, and the use is probably what it starts as, is probably not what it's gonna finish
Oh,
as.
yeah, right, I know.
You know, I mean, as it goes forward, there's no way you're gonna handle everything at
No,
the initial thing, and you're gonna have to
I'm just
deal with
thinking of
changes
just,
as you go forward.
yeah, I'm just thinking of the liability for the town, because public land like that, you know, in the middle of nowhere, people like to have a party, and there could be a problem. So as long as it's, are you gonna have a fence to close it?
I mean, we haven't discussed that to that level of detail, because I think that probably gets into the site plan.
Or a
element of
sign
it.
that says, you know, close at sunset?
I
that type of
can
thing.
guarantee you we're gonna do signs on that, in part
Yeah.
because that signage is necessary for enforcement purposes.
Right,
And something
Right.
worth flagging that I flagged for the BZA that not everybody knows is that the village police have policing powers outside the village. We actually
Yeah.
have an agreement with the village
Yeah.
that they are allowed to police outside of us. That's not true in every village does not have that. A lot of it ends at their village borders.
yeah,
And that provides just a third layer of law enforcement review. And to your point, I mean, to some degree, some people might absolutely feel, especially living in the village, that it is the middle of nowhere, but it's actually you know, there are a number of houses around there. So and the Pritz are very actively using their property. Their renters are very actively
Okay.
using their property. I think it would become rather apparent. And, you know, as a mom of teenagers, I'll tell you, there's a lot of places in town you can go hang out and nobody's paying attention.
I know. I know.
And so I don't know if it is as much of I don't know if there's as much of appeal that this is like a unique place. But I think it's certainly something worth considering. We're following in the footsteps of the town of Newfield, who has a community park, and they're about 5 years, 10 years ahead of us, and they bought a farm. The town literally bought a farm, and then it sat vacant for a dozen years or so, and a community group organized to turn it into a community park. And they were able to, because of technology changes, they were able to put in a very simple but effective security system with monitoring, so that they could actually make sure that, you know, their space is safe.
It's the
As
best
long as you're
security
aware of
system
it.
that's
You know, as long as you're aware of all of
Oh,
that.
no, it's, yeah, those are conversations that are, you know, our attorney flagged, and
Mhm.
it's just something you have to have policies to manage.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I
Good.
appreciate that. Thank you for your concern about that, because it's a very fair one. And I am happy to sit down, or I can stand up here and answer any questions you have, but whatever you want from me.
I think you sit down if you want. We can
no,
still
I
talk
asked
to
the
you.
questions that I had to ask.
Oh, great. Well, I'll be here all night,
Uh,
or at least as long as you are.
yeah.
So,
Board members?
yes, I have, so I spent a lot of time looking at the whole flag lot issue, which is, I think it's the key reason. Here's a question. Why did the BZA send it back to us?
Legally, it's required.
Oh, that was a
It's a
required
legal
step.
requirement. It's a
Oh,
required
okay.
step.
That we have to say something, I mean. we sent it
They're
to
asking
them.
you for feedback. So
Oh,
they're
okay.
by state mandate
I
and state
thought we did.
requirements. They're,
Feedback.
I guess it wasn't formal enough in a resolution.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna send
Anyway.
it to them, they're gonna send it back to
Back to
us,
us,
and we're
and
gonna
then
send
we
it
send
back.
it.
Goes back and forth.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't something else
Yes.
going on.
no. They actually were ready to vote in favor of this, is my
Okay.
interpretation of it. And then they're like, oh, we can't do that yet. We need to send it to the
Okay,
planning board.
good.
So you
Well,
can
the
watch the
board's
video
talking.
and take your
Right.
interpretation.
Right.
That was mine.
All right.
Okay, so my concern about the flag lot is, this is gonna have to be two-way traffic. I mean, it's not gonna be a tractor path to get back to the field. It's not gonna be somebody's driveway. So it's gonna be a public access point, so it's gonna have to have two-way traffic. That's gonna require 20 feet.
I think
Yard
that's
setbacks, right? For our 15
a,
feet.
side lots applied, I think, just. to the main
Why
part.
doesn't it apply to a flag?
because the flag is intended as an access point, it's
That's
deliberately
why
a
we get
driveway.
to the that's why we get to the 50. If you take 15 and 15, that's 30, add to 20, you get a two-way path. And that's what makes sense. So I'm thinking
Is there a
that it should
setback
be,
requirement on driveways?
it's
I
not a
don't- not that I
driveway,
can
it's a
see.
pole, and it's a side yard. Why
Um,
wouldn't it be a side yard?
I don't think I've ever seen
Yeah, I
it
think
considered.
side
that
yards
way.
only usually kick in for structures.
Is that right? You mean if it's the back, those fields are deep, the parcels are deep.
Yeah.
That means if you go back to the wooded part, it wouldn't count. So somebody can,
So usually zoning only kicks in when it comes to side yards and things for some kind of structure, a building or something like that. It doesn't keep you from doing a drive.
it doesn't keep you from putting a shed within,
A shed is
shed
a
is a
structure,
A shed is a structure.
Right, you
Can
can't
be,
put a
not
shed
always.
15
Yeah.
feet, right.
but as far as
Right,
the
or
drive
something
road.
like
But
that.
I'm gonna guess if you look at zoning, I mean, I went through the village one a little while ago, but usually zoning lets you have small sheds within like 5 foot if they don't have a permanent foundation, so. But
It's movable.
usually driveways and things like
but a
that.
driveway.
We ran
So
into
you-
this same issue, remember on Jacksonville, when
Mhm.
that property was split and they had to go around that generator unit for the phone company?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was essentially a 50-foot pole, but.
but nobody was living there.
There's houses on both sides of that one.
Yeah, but they weren't living with their house and garage right next to the pole.
The lady that came in worried about the drainages, her house is right next to there.
Was it?
And
Okay,
the other one on the other side is right next to there.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I went out and deliberately
Clear
looked at it, but to get around the generator unit, they had to pick one side or the other to drive down this 50-foot piece, and the generator was plopped right in the middle of the 50-foot.
See, because, well, but I'm thinking that if it's something like a driveway or a roadway,
Yeah,
15-foot setback isn't unreasonable to give to a neighbor who wants to fully utilize their parcel. And so I think it would be reasonable to expect there to be 15-foot of clearance.
but
For
Now,
what?
maybe,
For what?
no,
15 foot of clearance, because we're talking about doing a fence
Mhm.
along that whole edge, so there's no clearance on the backside of that fence.
but should there be? I mean, the clearance is more than, it's more for visibility, for privacy, for,
There's
to
a-
keep you from having things smashed
I
up
mean,
against each other.
If that's the property line, the fence can sit right on top of it.
Mhm.
No, 1 foot away,
Uh,
has to be 1 foot.
1 foot away so
1
you
foot
can
away.
access it to fix it, but essentially right now.
Yeah, but it impacts noise and everything else. There's a lot of reason for those setbacks. And a lot of it had to do with trying to keep the place from looking crowded, having a Rehoboth Beach type thing where one house is set right up. And one place.
I just
is
want to
set right
ask
in another one.
Caitlin
Yeah,
another
go ahead.
question. Did when it was subdivided, did the Pratts think of making it 50-foot by taking more away, 12 feet away from the house that they're renting?
It was for a number of reasons. The attorney, I think both attorneys thought it was better to keep that property intact and not asking for a variance for that.
Mhm.
There's also, as part of this process, we're working with the Tompkins County Whole Health to relocate a septic field.
Mhm.
And if we had moved into it, we might have been encroaching upon the actual tank itself. We're not encroaching upon the tank in this instance. There are also some trees on the property that, so I think that there were numerous considerations for why keeping that zoning compliant and asking for, a variance would be required in either case.
Okay, I just wanted to know if that was ever considered to make it a 50-foot right away.
And I mean, quite honestly, it was the donor's preference. And when you're the receiving end of that, I mean, those were logical reasons to the town board.
is this the opportunity to bring the neighbor in?
Yeah. Excuse me just for a moment.
We've kind of talked about this, but that's my whole thing. I was at the last meeting, the zoning board's asking you for a recommendation. And that's my question to you is how can you sincerely give a recommendation? And I know you don't have and want to spend the money on a plan. I'm not talking about the whole facility, but this roadway. If you don't have a plan etched in stone that you know this is what's going to happen. And we're not in the village, or don't take this, the town of Dryden or what, we're in the country out in the town of Ulysses. If the roads are 20 foot wide, that's fine. But every intersection, what are you going to do? You're going to run 20 foot right to the road. You're going to have a little apron. There's got to be room. The other thing is, I don't know, I've never really seen, you're saying they can build the fence right on the property line?
It's just enough space to do post holes, yeah, put boards up on.
I just finished a property in Ithaca, and I have fences on 3 sides of it.
That's not
And
even.
they're
But you're-
all right on the
It's not
property
even
line.
necessary.
Are you in the city?
But definitely in the city there.
Okay, but I'm
I
just
live out
saying,
here
I
in the
understand.
country, and I have fences on
Okay.
both sides.
I'm asking. The next
Yeah.
question is the trees that run down through there. We really want to be there before trees are starting to get bushwhacked, because what's the deal with that? The trees on the property line. The property line belongs to both of us, right? So we just don't want the whole thing cleared right out. You know what I'm saying? And we want to be there to, you know, it's happened in other places where people come in and cut trees and find out later, oh, we just want to know what's what. And the other thing is about the fence, if that can be a foot away, whether it's blacktop or oil and stone or whatever, we just don't want dusty gravel and the noise and everything else. Whatever you have for a hard surface, there's going to be runoff. It's a downhill grade. We all know what driveways and streets are like. There's got to be a ditch down through there,
Yeah.
right? And that takes space. It's not going to be, and is that going to be right tight to the neighbors? So we're, you know.
They don't have to really put a ditch, they can put a French drain.
Well,
It's the same thing.
whatever.
That
If
would be
that happens,
different.
but there's got to be room for it.
Right.
And it's gonna depend too. I mean, it is tight, 38 feet is tight to fit everything that people are talking about doing there. But it is doable, and if it ends up with a sidewalk or something like that, drainage may have to be subsurface and carried off onto the site someplace. I mean, because if there's gonna be parking, it's gonna have to go through the stormwater management program anyway, and get designed.
It will have to go towards the back, because I don't think there's
Yeah.
a ditch in the front of the house.
No, there is.
No, it
So
all
it would have to go
runs
towards the
down,
back.
and like I say, where we happen to be is the low, but whatever.
Yeah.
I guess my biggest thing is how do you give a recommendation or make a decision? And it would answer so many of our questions. Let's nip this in the bud and design that this is what it's gonna be and is it gonna work for everybody?
Well,
So
to me mentally, you know, you got 38 foot, so you're gonna lose essentially 2 foot on each side for fences. Okay, so you're down to 34. You got a 20-foot road, and assume you put like a 5-foot drainage on the east side, put the road in, then go ahead and another drainage on the sidewalk, and then you're finally getting to your side of the lot. I think you know, I'm not in charge of any of this stuff, but
Yeah.
certainly a 20-foot wide road, which is typical town road for two-way traffic and that. And essentially here, the drainage is required, it's like a 0.5% dip for the drainage on the side. So you're probably talking a 5-foot width or something like that. So 7 and a fence and 5 foot on each side, you know, I think it'll fit within that 38 foot. It's not going to be generous, but, and I would, like in your case, lobby to put the sidewalk on your side. You know, the foot traffic, it pushes the road another essentially 5 to 10 feet farther from your lot, because you're on the west side over there, and I don't think it makes any real difference which ends up where.
Right, that doesn't matter for that.
Right.
But you don't see it. It's just, like I say, it'd be nice to physically see
Yeah.
what it's gonna be,
Well,
because it's
there's
easy.
gonna be more iterations to this and more public meetings as they finally start gathering funds to attempt to do this. In the meantime, you're gonna have a piece of vacant land sitting there just like the neighbor's lawn has been for. If
Years.
Newfield's any indication, it took them more than 10 years.
Well, like I say,
Yeah,
it's not about this park for us, right? But it's the access and how it changes their, off the whole piece of property, so.
Well,
yeah.
we haven't, I mean, there is no plan yet. As Caitlin said, there's no plan of what they're gonna do. So when the plan comes, when they finally come up with a plan, it has to come back to us or whoever's gonna be here in
Right.
10 years from now, if that's how long it takes.
No, I understand
Yeah,
that,
so
but
I mean, at that point,
Yeah.
that's when it's hashed out to how it's going to be.
Exactly the
progress.
layout, but it physically, at least mentally to me, and I've lived in a lot of different places, it looks like you can fit the puzzle pieces together and have sufficient distance between them so that there's some gap between the road and the sidewalk, so you're
Yeah.
not walking right dead on the shoulder and that sort of stuff. And that can serve as the drainage on that side of the road and also half the sidewalk. You know, and then the same thing on the other side, like a 5-foot width to suck it up on that side, and then that still probably leaves another 5 foot or so beyond the sidewalk.
I wouldn't crown the road, I'd just pitch it to one side, so you only have to have drainage on the one side.
Yeah, right.
You can do that, you
Right.
know, and anyway, those details will get worked out, but certainly. We understand your concern. Mo and I have been
Well-
out there with you guys on your property, and your driveway comes right down. Maybe 5 foot off the property line, and your garage is about the same distance off the property.
that's
line.
all, and I would be remiss, all right, we're not the people, we've missed the boat. These gals, everybody's good, we're not the people to rally, send letters, I don't know a thing about nothing, right? But
We
it's
appreciate
a
the
lot,
concern.
so I'd be remiss not to just, I appreciate your time and putting up, I'm not a good speaker, but I'd be remiss not to say all I could and try as hard as we can. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Keep
Yes,
pushing.
sir.
You gotta.
Right.
It's
Thank
just
you.
like, yeah, well, and thank you for the time to talk, but
Yeah.
Yeah. That still leaves me unclear
About
about
whether you need
15
variances
foot,
on the
yes, setback on a flag.
deals.
Yeah, meals, because I remember a conversation with John Zepko when we were looking at a pole lot for a pond
Yeah.
on Reynolds Road or in that vicinity. And we were talking about the setbacks, and I don't remember all of the details of it because we were doing the site visit and talking about what they wanted to do with it. So that's what made it come to mind when I started thinking about, looking at how wide is it,
I really don't think that driveways are,
Driveway was you got a driveway in, it's getting 15 foot away from, a major
I don't know,
construction, and
I
the
don't know
driveway
if that's
was
true or
considered.
not. And we'd have to ask Neil.
Yeah.
Niels,
about
can
that.
you enlighten us
Yeah.
on this?
Do you have any help?
Yep. Yep. So your town code doesn't have an exemption or exception section, which you might want to think about sometime in the future. So what we do is we look at your definitions. So under chapter 212, which is your zoning code, under section 22 is your definitions. And setback as a general term has, quote, any building on a lot and a property line. So setbacks are applicable to buildings and or structures, not germane to driveways like this. And further, the town doesn't have any civil standards under subdivision regs. Like a lot of towns that do will have what you're talking about or thinking about, of like a 5 foot whatever buffer from a driveway easement access road, but you don't have anything like that right now. I'm not saying that you couldn't put that in as a condition of approval when you finally get to that point, but you don't have anything right now. The only thing really where driveways would be applicable to buffers is when we're talking from wetlands. That's a whole other issue though. And just on the question of fences,
Wetlands, right.
Yeah.
Well, there is wetland concerns
It's on the
there
other side of
No.
the Brent's property.
on
It's on the other side of the house.
of the house.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, there's a little creek that runs, or a little something.
Why do they call it wetland, there was a stream, that was a defined stream, but they also, there was a DEC wetland thing. Isn't that-
Not a
not
DEC
in-
wetland.
in that
There's an
specific-
NWI map.
Can I just add one thing? We're calling this a drive. This is a roadway. It's not a driveway to the Jacksonville Pond or something. It's a 2-lane roadway in and out. It's not like just a short driveway. You gotta have, it's a roadway.
So what is your reaction to the fence? The fence along there?
What is my reaction to the fence?
Yeah,
Well, that's
As a-
definitely, the boys want a barrier because it's this.
that's right, okay,
You know, I can, people in the room have sat here, it's 6 foot from our blacktop where
Right.
party, and now you've got a game getting over and you got a line of traffic sitting right there a few feet from you, just walking, and it's just, you know, the foot traffic. It's just opening it up to
Wander-
whatever.
wanderers,
it's just,
okay,
yeah, it's.
So you would prefer a fence that screens? Is it just a physical separation, but that screens the road from?
We don't want to see anything. We're not talking about a 3-4 foot chain link
Yeah,
fence.
do you have an objection to a slightly higher than a normal 6-foot fence?
We have no objection to that, but that'll be up to my boys exactly. I'm speaking, I'm the dad. I don't live there. I take care of the place, you know, but yeah, that's the whole thing. It's having the loss of privacy to all 3 sides of your property.
well, yeah, and your deck is right there,
And
yeah,
So
too, okay.
this is a residential area, correct?
Yeah.
On the setbacks, there is a strange one here, and I don't know if it even has anything to do with this. It says minimum side yard setback shall be 15 feet. Okay. Except for a corner lot fronting on 2 public streets where the minimum yard setback for the side yard adjacent to the street shall be 25 feet.
That's for
That's like a
visibility
regular
on
corner.
corners where 2
Right,
roads come
right. So
together.
that has nothing to do. That's the only thing that's mentioned when it comes to a setback on a street.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can find. So we don't have anything in our ordinances for driveways or anything of that nature.
So the pole isn't considered part of your yard.
No.
And
I
even,
think we should be specific about that.
well, a lot of
The
the lake
zoning should
lot,
be
a lot of the lake lots we've been looking at, a lot of their driveways wander right up
Mhm.
against the boundary or over the boundary in some cases and back again, you know, as they try and get down the hill.
Yeah.
And there's no 15-foot issue on those either.
But you can always say that it was grandfathered, you know, and so.
Well,
You know, there's a lot of deals like that, right?
Right.
But it's been years and generations and people
Yeah.
work together. Lake property in the city are so much different. The other thing is the way this whole thing was all, you know, I know the farmer that worked the field, and Fritz is saying, don't tell anybody, but this is what we're, if they'd have come to us and at least given a heads up and discussed it. So why do we want it, Ben? We want to go for all, if it's supposed to be 5 foot out or 15 foot out, darn it, that's the way it should be. That's all. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, but
Yeah, and
there
I'm
is-
just making sure
Yeah.
that we don't
Yeah.
have a requirement
right.
that way, you know.
He also would like to say something.
Yep.
Go for it, Niels.
Thanks, Laurie. I think it was either Jeff or Carl mentioned and pointed out that the pole portion is meant for easement, right? It's an easement access. And Linda mentioned something about setbacks in relation to, you know, being applicable to the pole or for flag lots. The regulations for setbacks are applicable to the flag portion of the lot. So there aren't setbacks per se for the pole portion. The setbacks kick in once the lot, buildable lot area, the flag portion of the lot comes into play. So that's where your front setbacks and your side setbacks come in.
So you can't build in the pole.
Correct. There wouldn't be like a
It's gonna
structure.
be
Touched upon
That's
another
right.
time, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Any other concerns or questions? Oh,
Oh, I don't want to read this one. This is not good.
Well,
No, I'm just looking,
Somebody
says-
find it.
no, it's a town right of way. A strip of land owned or controlled by the town government for the purpose of providing access to an abutting lot, or for providing a bed for a future improved roadway. So it's a roadway, really.
It's still a driveway.
Yeah, so I'm just
So
looking
it
to make
doesn't-
sure nowhere in our
Yeah.
ordinances, or in our zoning does have to say, because 3 weeks from now, when it does pop up, that would not be good. But I haven't found anything to pertain to the flag, or the pole,
Yeah.
with setbacks of any sort. And I looked through all of them.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I didn't see anything that said no. So. And, yeah,
based on discussion then, is there any reason we shouldn't recommend this arrangement to put the 38-foot entrance to the other 14 acres back there to create an accessible flag lot?
It's gonna come back to us at some point, right?
Yeah,
the design
Oh, yeah,
of the
that's-
pole after the fact,
Well, after the polls.
When they go
approved.
to
right, yeah.
build on the lot and that this is gonna be years down the road. Probably, most of us will be a long time off the board, but it's still worth looking at this and that sort of stuff.
It's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Yeah,
Well, it was, yeah. I mean, no. The whole zoning changed in that area, so the requirements at one point were 200,
but these,
and now it's 160, and some people miss that.
yeah,
Don't realize, oh, it's no more, it's not 200 anymore.
it's 160 foot. It's actually the 32,000 square foot because they have water.
Mhm.
And so because of the depth of those lots, they're almost 400 foot deep lots. The 32,000, you could get with about an 80-foot wide lot needed, but the 160 keeps it out there. So this is, in this case, it's good that they got the 400 foot because it adds more room back there for the new leach field and that sort of stuff when you move it from where it is back into the rest of the lot. Because they've got it roughly 200 foot behind the house by 160 wide. To
Yeah.
figure out where to put this leach field there.
So this is still conditional on the leach, I mean, or
It's
do you
not.
have that?
Prince is
Did you
gonna
get
have to pay for the new
No,
sand.
No, actually, we are.
Yeah,
The town is, so it's, I would never have wasted the public's time on this project if I hadn't first talked to the health department.
Okay, yeah.
So Scott Stewart, the DPW, head of our DPW, highway superintendent, and I met with Thomas County Whole Health in January of 2025 to see if the situation was viable. And they did not flag any concerns, and Thomas County actually will do the engineering for you. So we have our application ready, and they grant a permit, but the septic tank itself is from the 1990s. They pulled the files on that, and their anticipation is that based on its age, it's probably fine. If we open up the site and it's not fine when they do their inspection, that's a whole different kettle of fish, and we're not paying for the new septic tank. But we will pay for if the line out needs to be replaced. It probably does, given its age and relocation and the sand features. Our highway department actually has the on-site capacity to do the work themselves, so we can perform it in-house. We were looking at this weather, right? We don't want to do the work if this fell through. And it's also been a very, very cold winter, so it wouldn't happen until the ground thawed. But we will, if we don't have the capacity to move it before the final paperwork is handled as a real estate transaction, there will be an easement put in place. And the condition of being able to put in any type of driveway is that the septic field is moved, because it would obviously damage the septic field. So it's conditional within the donation agreement that is handled before a driveway is installed. So I hope that answers your question. We have We did really thoroughly vet that one before we brought
Yeah.
it to the public, because it could have been a deal breaker.
Oh, I just heard the discussion, but I don't even remember how it finally
Yeah.
came
Came
down. Yeah.
I looked up flag lot meaning for New York State. There is really no regulations. Could be 12, it could be 12 feet wide.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's.
I
what
know
the
you
big
showed it
ones
on
are.
yours and I just
Yeah,
looked it
right.
up and it could be 12 feet wide up to 50 feet. So there is no regulations on how wide it has to be.
No, and I understand that, but if we say setback, there are setbacks requirements.
They
yeah,
didn't, they
and
had
if that
nothing
doesn't
in
qualify,
setbacks. It's considered a driveway and
yeah,
there are no setbacks. So if it
or an
was 12,
easement.
if
Yeah.
it was 12 feet wide, that would be, I mean, how do you have a setback then? That would be, right, 15 feet on each side, 30 feet. Now you don't even have the right of way.
Go
So,
to, another unit.
Yeah.
right, so it's considered a driveway. There's no other meanings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's trying to avoid these landlocked lots. There's a
Well, yeah.
purpose behind it so that you can still get to it.
And
Yes.
this isn't really landlocked. The access today comes through.
Comes through another neighbor's property down the highway down there. You
Yeah.
go
It's
through
Fritz's,
two houses
it's
down
Fritz's.
there.
Fritz's got
Fritz
access.
is
to
Well,
his
Fritz has
driveway.
access
That's
from their
exactly
side,
right.
Yeah.
but the farmer that's been working it actually has a farm gate 2 houses down the road that he goes
Right.
through the woods to get back to it.
To it.
Across
Oh,
somebody's private land that they've worked out a deal to get back there. Because the big machinery is not going past Fritz's house, it's going back down here because behind Fritz's house is the other half of this chunk down here on beyond the stream to the right. And I'm not sure if that was actually farmed in there or not. Farther to the east, there's farmland that goes over to Halseyville Road, but I think there's a chunk back in there that's just vacant right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's got
the guy doing the corn back there was actually coming in through the second neighbor down or third neighbor down. There is a gated set of swing gates in there that he goes through. Yes,
oh,
If you're interested in the history of the parcel itself, when the Prince originally purchased their primary residence, it wasn't a very large parcel. And there was a farm operation that includes the field right behind their house where they ended up purchasing, and the field that they're donating. And that was part of a farm that also included the Carpenter's farm, which is on the other side of the creek. It was a huge operation. And the farmer passed away. The widow was living in Florida and started wanting to sell off big chunks of the farm. She didn't want to sell it off in small pieces. So the Prince wanted to purchase just the field behind their house. And she said, finally, she only agreed to sell them that if they would
If they
also
would
buy
take
the other
that.
one. And so
Yeah.
that's why it's a weird configuration, because it's been lumped together with the subdivision of a larger farm back in probably the 80s.
Right.
So it was,
Yeah.
so that's how the Carpenters ended up with their farm eventually.
okay.
And the Prince ended up with these 2 fields behind. So
So there is access from the other side.
That's for
Yeah.
another property though,
I know.
2 properties.
That's interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
It says, okay. They are frequently subject to specific local municipality regulations. We don't have any regulations.
Well, we could.
well,
Yeah,
we
I
have
mean-
the 50-foot width, which is.
Yeah, right,
local
And the
regulation.
15-foot setback if
Right.
it would apply.
Such as a minimum driveway with requirements, specialized setback requirements, and limitation on how many can be created on a single subdivision. So that's in New York
So you
State.
could,
So, but we don't have any rules or
Well,
regulations
we
on
do limit it
on
to
the
2
50.
flags.
Yeah, on a 50, but that's all the regulations we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
only
So we
thing,
would have to specify specifically that we want that to be different.
Right.
If we wanted it in zoning. Okay.
yeah,
That's
you'd
fair.
have to rewrite the zoning, to put that in. But
Right.
right now, there is nothing.
Anything else?
No?
Have you had a chance to read through the proposed resolution on this? I suppose I should read the whole thing. It probably is good to do that.
Which one are we
This
talking about?
is 2026-005.
5? Yep.
Yep. I think I will go ahead and read the whole thing into the record and then we'll go from there if that's okay.
Yeah.
Resolution, Planning Board Resolution number 2026-005, a resolution recommending the Board of Zoning Appeals grant an area variance for the Fritz two-lot minor subdivision. Whereas the Planning Board finds the following. Town of Ulysses submitted an application to the Board of Zoning Appeals for an area variance entitled Area Variance Related to Minor Subdivision of Land located at 5230 Cold Springs Road, parcel 12.4-19.2. And the intent of the applicant is to subdivide the existing 16.5 acre lot into two lots, parcel A approximately 1.37 acres and parcel B approximately 15.21 acres. And the proposed parcel B would be a flag lot with a proposed width of 38 feet for the pole portion of the lot, where 50 feet is required for the code of the town of Ulysses 212-130.a, and per the consolidated laws of New York, Chapter 62, Article 16, Section 277.6, the Board of Zoning Appeals, as part of the review of the area variance application, must make a request to the planning board to provide a written recommendation concerning the proposed variance. And the Board of Zoning Appeals did meet on January 21st, 2026 to consider the request and did pass resolution 2026-001 requesting the planning board review the application for the area variance at the next available meeting and provide written recommendation on the area variance in a timely fashion. And the planning board did meet on February 3rd, 2026, to conduct a sketch plat review of the proposal and reviewed the area variance application and a request to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Now therefore, the planning board resolves the following. Planning board recommends the Board of Zoning Appeals grant the area variance as requested by the applicant. Second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
The county in their 239 response said that we needed to make the flag part of the parcel, which this does that. It incorporates the flag into the main part of it there. So that takes care of the county's request to do that. Caitlin?
May I request, I know that lots of people have lots of feelings on permeable pavement. If you guys have any thoughts on permeable pavement that you would like to share with the planning board or with the Board of Zoning Appeals, I would deeply appreciate it because they were on the verge of wanting that to be a condition, and I will take that condition if we need to take that condition, but I know there are lots of thoughts on it. So if you have some and would be willing to share it with
I have lots of experience.
Well, yeah, so do I. So what was your experience with it?
I think if you're doing parking spaces, it's great.
Right, yeah.
But you still, I mean, the only reason to do it is if you're gonna collect the water underneath, otherwise the ground fills up and it just runs off the same way normally.
Right.
So you're either doing a drainage system of some kind, whether it's stone or stone and pipes underneath the pavement to collect the water and then piping it away anyway.
Right.
So for parking, it's great because parking, it's easier to do. It holds up better for parking where it's not getting as much traffic on it and beat up. You have to vacuum it actually to keep it functional,
Right.
because the pores fill up with gravel. You can't salt it.
Yep.
There's all kinds of.
And it heaves. We've had that happen we had it walkway. The parking lot was done, and yes, they had to put drainage tile. They had, I don't know, 50,000 gallon water tanks in there because all that had to be collected. Otherwise, the whole parking lot would heave. So they put it on one of the walkways, and they didn't put enough stone down. So when it rained and then froze, it came up. And you're right, you can't salt it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, if you're in a tight urban area where you really want to collect the water and you don't have any place to take it,
Right.
But all you're doing is basically doing a collection system, just like pipes and stuff.
Right.
And you're still taking it someplace. I mean, most places don't have permeable enough soil to do it. What I do like, which works really well, is permeable porous concrete pavement.
Yes.
As long as you don't have to plow it and keep it open in the winter. Like at Teganic at the Overlook,
Yeah.
that's all porous concrete
Oh,
Yeah.
out there. And you can take a bucket of water and you can pour it on the sidewalk and it'll go right through
Yeah,
it.
just disappears.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And
But
it's
again,
easier
you've
to
got a
collect that
drainage
much
system
water.
under it to get rid of the water. right?
It's easier though, because you don't usually have that thick an area. You can usually get away with just gravel.
If they put that in the driveway, they would have to put quite a lot of stone and drainage tiles going into sort of like a ditch, because otherwise it would just collect.
And if you have a busy parking lot, like if you go to the Overlook at Teganic, and you look at the parking spaces there, you'll see that they're coming apart. There's too much, it's too much turning action in the summer where the asphalt that holds it together is soft and it can't handle that much action. If you have a lot where people go and park for the day and come back out, it's okay, I think, but I wouldn't use it in a busy lot with a lot of turnover.
No, it's sort of like a hard clay, basically.
Okay.
So, yeah, plows would just scrape it right off.
If you watch them at Teganic when they do the Overlook,
They
have to-
brush it.
They brush it.
Yeah, they have to. There's no other way to do it.
They close it in the winter time.
Yeah,
It's closed right now.
The town, as you may know, that when the town was redoing our back parking lot, we actually got quotes from our engineer about how much it would be to do with permeable pavement, because there was encouragement from parts of the community to do that.
Yeah,
And the price tag was considerably higher. The maintenance was different than what
Right.
we were used to, which require equipment. And also, we were told directly from some folks at the state parks that were like, you really don't want to do it. And we couldn't frankly afford to do it, so it wasn't even in the realm of
if you would have
possibility.
put that there, that, because it's up on a hill, that water would have just gone right down that hill every time it rained.
Wow, our neighbors below would not care for us, that's
Right.
village, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'm gonna probably grab the minutes from, the draft minutes from Lori to share with the BZA, just because I think there's a diversity of opinions and I appreciate your professional.
I
expertise on it.
don't think it's worth it.
No,
I'd way rather see people collect the water someplace and invest more in the gardens and
Sure.
stuff where the water is being collected. So that's not on that.
Just to clarify, you're saying no blacktop, you're
No,
not.
no, regular
real
blacktop.
blacktop is good.
Okay,
But porous, pervious blacktop, the
Permeable.
water actually goes permeable.
okay, that's what I.
The
just
water
wanna make
actually
sure
goes
we're
down
talking-
through it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't build up as
Okay.
much because the pores in it.
Real blacktop, like the road going down there, like Cold Springs Road, will handle it.
Right, that's what
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what, I guess we were,
Envisioning, yeah.
One quick question, thank you very much. This letter you just read.
Yeah.
Okay, this is your
This is our
recommendation.
formal response to the
Okay.
BZA.
And this is the letter that you had this all done after this discussion. This is the letter that Caitlin gave you.
No,
This is completely different.
this is totally separate.
Okay, I
It's
just,
prepared as part of the planning board, like we expect one way or the other, but we
That's
can
cool.
change it if we need to and that sort of.
just
stuff.
trying to understand
The
how everything
logistics,
works.
yeah.
But thank you very much for your
Okay.
time and
Okay.
letting me speak.
All
have a
right.
good night.
Yeah,
Yep.
you too.
Let's see, back to, where did my cheat sheet go? I lost it.
Oh, no, I have
Anyway.
a motion to make, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, the only other I was gonna say, is there any
Oh,
member reports? That's the only other thing that we're still looking at.
is it?
No reports.
Yeah, we already talked about, I'll make sure you guys try it on the town site, but if you have any problem getting a hold of the,
I'll look at it.
No, you can't take it home, but you can look at it here and I'll make it available for you, I'm sorry.
that's fine.
promise for you
You know.
tomorrow.
If
No.
you really, really promise and you make sure it comes back to Carissa, because they're actually the ones who put it all in. So
Yeah, you
please do
can't-
that. They're also available online. All of them are
Is
actually,
it?
they're all, yeah.
Oh, you scanned them all?
They're all scanned and posted.
Oh,
So
well,
if you
that's all we
go,
need.
if you click on the,
Yeah.
Park.
if you click on the park link, all the public comments are electronic version there.
Oh,
So-
that's fine. That's good.
Excuse me,
So,
I have a motion.
No.
You're out.
okay.
Since
go
you're
for
all
it.
packed up, I think.
I have a
know what it
motion
is.
to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
More seconds for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. The only